All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Chapter 7 of Conversations with Curtis. Thank you so much for joining. It seems like we were just here, doesn't it? I did my second hour of playthrough of Phantasm 2 last night, and thanks for joining me. This is the first time I've ever streamed twice in less than 24 hours, but I'm so excited about today's show. I can't tell you. It's been something I've been looking forward to for a long time, talking to Andy Hoyos, the director of the game. He'll be joining me in a little bit. He's my only guest today because I didn't want to spend time with anybody else. I just want to talk to Andy, and I want you guys to be able to answer questions or ask him questions that he can answer. And let's have a really nice session with him today. I do have a few things I want to go over real quick beforehand. Let me see my notes here, so I make sure I do it. If I haven't made this official yet, I will, on social media. But I want you all to know that Lorelei Shannon has officially agreed to be my next guest on November 26th. She'll be my last guest of this year that has to deal with this particular phase of Conversation with Curtis. So she'll round out the year, and then in December we have a kind of a mystery guest that we'll announce later. But to have Lorelei round this out is going to be very exciting, and we'll actually be talking to her on the 25th anniversary, the actual date, November 26th, the anniversary of the release of Phantasmagoria2, which is cool because it's the day after Thanksgiving. And people are going to be home kind of hanging out anyways. And so hopefully we'll have a lot of people join us for that particular thing. So thanks for joining me this morning or this afternoon or this evening, depending on where you are. A couple things I do want to share with you right now. Let's see. Yeah, let me show you this picture. This is a picture of some stickers that came in. And these are the stickers that just came in for anybody who wants to join our Patreon team at the $3 level or above. It doesn't really show up with my green screen here. Whoa, there we go. Anyways, these came in for a limited amount of time. Anybody who joins Patreon at the $3 level or above, you have the option to get a couple of these stickers sent your way. You just have to email me your mailing address. Anybody who's already on the Patreon team, if you'd like one of these stickers, please send me your email or your mailing address, and we'll get that out to you. But we have something that just came in today too. For our $10 and above members, we just got these cool lapel pins. So that will be available to anybody who joins. And that's just going to very quickly get me into my quick commercial about Patreon. I'm tired of asking for money. I'm not good at it. It doesn't make me happy. But it's important, especially if we want to keep Conversations with Curtis going into next year and start to explore different games and the people who made those. So I can't do this without my current Patreon members. There's just no way I could, and I can't thank you all enough for being a part of it. If you're not a member, I would love for you to join. We have levels anywhere from $3 a month all the way up. If you join at $10 a month, you can get this pin. $20 a month, you get an autograph picture of me, either from my headshot from the 1990s or a backstage photo or the cover art. I can send that to you as well. But the idea is to get to $2,500 a month by the end of this year. So we have a nice way of getting into our projects for next year. We are less than, I think we're at $240 away from 2,000. That's a huge mark. And I would love to get there in the next few days. So if you've been thinking about it and you'd like to join, if you are at a lower level and you can bump up a little bit, I can't tell you how much I'd appreciate it. It's all going to good use. We're streaming me playing the game. We're getting to the place where we're having the most exciting guests, and I really would love to get your support. So that's it. That's all I'm going to say about Patreon. Want to move on from there. Oh, I guess we'll say one thing is that you don't have to stay on Patreon. If you can only do it for a couple months, then just drop out. No big deal. So you don't have to be there forever, but we'd love to have you. I've overwhelmed you with these stream bot chats with my social media stuff. I set it a timer at like 10 minutes each, and it just seems like we're being bombarded. So I will fix that next time. Apologies for all that. I'm still learning this stuff. I'm going to keep pleading ignorance until I get better. Oh, okay. So here's something I want to show you. I mentioned this in the video that we had. So I got a text from Paul Mitri about a week or two ago, and the text just simply included this picture right here. Oh, where is it? I'm gonna do this right. Oh no, I'm on the wrong thing. Hold on. Don't look at that. That's not what you should be looking at. I want you to look at this. There it is. This is the picture that I got from Paul Mitri. It is the beginning page of the script of Phantasmagoria2. And he said, look what I found. So I wrote back and I said, are you kidding? Did you really find that? I go, can you send me a picture of the stack of script? And then he sent me this. So that is, except for some pages, that is the exact script of Phantasmagoria2. Paul said that a number of his, he seemed like all of his scenes were extracted. He had pulled them out for his own use during when he went on set. He's not sure he can find those, but at the moment, it looks like we have about 98-point-something% of the entire script. So that is very exciting, which means the original ending is in there somewhere. Paul has not had a chance to scan it and send it to me. He is a very, very busy guy. He runs an entire theater department at the University of Utah. And, but he said he'll get it to me at some point. I imagine Lorelei probably has her own digital copy of this on a floppy disk somewhere, but we are getting closer to reading this script again, having an option to do it. So that is super, super exciting. All right. Let's see. I guess that is it. Am I missing anything else? I'm going to talk to Lorelei. Showed you guys the stuff. 2 pictures of the script. Talked about Patreon. And I think that's it, you guys. So I thought I would try to introduce Andy as soon as possible because I want to just hang out and talk to him. So let's do that right now. My guest today is Andy Hoyos. Not only was Andy the director and the art director of Phantasmagoria2, Andy was an influential member of Sierra Online during their heyday in the 90s. He worked on such diverse games as Phantas 1, King's Quest 7, Castle of Dr. Brain, and many others. Andy is currently a painter and a mixed media artist who lives in the Pacific Northwest, not too far from where I am. And he uses traditional art materials as well as employing digital tools to create his mixed media artworks. I can't tell you how excited I am to introduce to you Andy Hoyos. So Andy, if you would be willing to come join me, that would be fantastic. I told Andy that. Hey, there he is. Hey.
I'm here.
There you are. How you doing, man?
Okay, doing well.
Good. So this is, I want to be totally honest. This is not our first time doing this, is it?
Right. That's right. We did do it once or twice before.
Well, I want to just share with them what happened. So about 6 months ago, when I started thinking about the fact that this was the 25th anniversary, I thought, well, maybe I'll try to do something. And at the time, I thought maybe I would just reach out to you and Lorelei. I'd record a couple conversations and just post it on YouTube. And so I reached out and you were kind enough, and we actually sat down and had a good, we hadn't seen each other, right? In 25 years. And we had a fun conversation that I recorded on Zoom, but we had some sound issues, or I had some sound issues. And then ultimately I decided to turn this into a live stream. So that's never been seen. And I asked you to do it again. And I'm sure you're like, wait a minute, I already talked about all this stuff, but I can't thank you enough for coming back.
That sounds great. That sounds great.
So how are you, man? How are things? How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. Yeah, I'm just got my personal projects that I've got going, and trying to stay healthy, trying to stay uncontaminated.
Yeah, so far so good.
So far, so good.
Yeah. Has there been some positives in your life to just having to slow down because of the the pandemic and all that?
Well, I mean, I had been working in my home studio and alone for years anyway, so it didn't, I mean, it didn't impact me on a personal level. Hopefully, not much,
Right.
because I was able to stay confined in my studio and work and keep working, so it didn't prevent me from working. So that was real positive.
That's good.
Just making sure I was inoculated and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Now, we'll talk a lot about what you're working on now in your process, but I'm curious. How often are you working? I mean, are you there every day? Is that
pretty much every day.
Yeah,
Pretty much
nice.
every day. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Do you have a pretty good work ethic in terms of like how much time you put in, or do you get lost into something, or is it what's the process?
It's hard to say. I have a pretty strong work ethic, so I'm always at it every day, pretty much 7 days a week, unless I'm just too fatigued. I do have some sleep issues, so I can't put in quite the many hours as I would like to per day.
Right.
But I put significant amount of hours in each day.
Good.
I have to. I'll die if I'll shrivel
I
up.
know. I'm the same way. If I don't have a creative project that is keeping my brain occupied, I just feel like I'm gonna shrivel up. I have no, and I'm so much better to my family and my friends as long as I have this other thing that I'm working on. And I don't know about you, but I realize that back when you're younger, you want to shake up the world and you want everybody to see your work, and you want to be, it's not necessarily be famous, but you want to be recognized. But as you get older, you realize that's not as important as the work itself, right?
Right, of course.
I
I mean, even a lot of the work I've been working on for the last couple of years, nobody's seen it. I haven't yet made it public. I will be updating my website and so forth in near future. I was hoping to do it by this interview so I could alert everybody but it just didn't happen.
Yeah. Well, you were kind enough to share with me a few photos of what you're working on. We'll show that later, but it's stunning work. I'm really excited to show everybody. But people are here to hear about our past and not our present. So let's talk a little bit about that. I have made everybody go through this process, and I'd like to have you do it too. And it's just a chance to get to know your background a bit. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put a 3-minute timer up. You don't have to see it, but I'll keep you on track. And if you can just tell me your entire life story from the day you were born to right now in 3 minutes, that would be great. Are you okay doing that?
Yeah. All right. Yeah, sure. I even got myself some notes here because trying to abbreviate everything down is a little tricky. But
all right. Well,
basically, I was born in Los Angeles, California. My father was an actor, and he was a prominent actor, character actor during the 50s and 60s. And my mother was a talented craft person. As a matter of fact, my sister ended up becoming an actor. She's working now, as a matter of fact. I got a little factoid here that's kind of fun. My grandfather was an opera singer. And he happened to know, or he knew of Ricky Arnaz, who was of Lucy, I Love Lucy TV show.
Yeah, that was the son. Right?
Yeah. So no, what was that?
Was Ricky the son of
the
Desi?
Husband. The husband was I Love Lucy.
Oh, okay, Desi. Yeah,
Of course, I'm mentioning this, and probably everybody listening is way too old to remember I Love Lucy. But that was one of the most biggest series ever. Anyway, there's one episode in which Ricky Arnaz's father comes to visit him in New York or wherever the heck it was that they were living, and his father is my grandfather. That is to say, my grandfather played Ricky Arnaz's dad in I Love Lucy.
That's wait. So on the show, now we're talking Desi Arnaz, right? Desi Arnaz was.
What did I say? Ricky Arnaz?
Ricky, but Ricky was
I meant Desi Arnaz.
Yeah. I'm old enough to remember this too. So Ricky was Desi and Lucy's son. At least they were
right.
So,
right.
But your grandfather played Desi Arnaz's dad in an episode of I Love Lucy.
Yes.
That's awesome. We have
Yeah,
got
you know,
to.
I still haven't tracked down that footage. I've got to get that footage somehow.
Oh, it's out there. I'm sure. I think that it's on.
I
I think.
couldn't, I had trouble finding it.
Okay. Well, with these people, we may get some help from our fans here. They're pretty good at tracking
That'd
that
be
stuff
great.
down. And yeah, keep going. I love that. So you
Oh,
grew up in
anyway,
LA with the artist family, and in the.
yes, and so I was always around movies and creative things my whole life. And it wasn't until the 70s that I got a job working as a graphic designer at NBC television studios, doing on-air graphics and illustrations and the like. And from NBC, I went on to do animation background painting and production work. And let's see, which is a moment.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And it was 1989 that I joined Sierra Online and started out as a 2D animator for a brief period. And then I started art directing. My first art directorial piece was for King's Quest V, and that was a big hit. And so I went on to a lot of other games there for Sierra, and of course Phantasm 1 and Phantasm 2. And let's see, I kind of should have did King's Quest V, Legions, Larry, Heroes Quest, Phantasm 1 and 2 are some of the most notable ones, but there's a number of other games that I've forgotten. And then I went on to work with other game companies, like working for Origin Systems on Ultima Online, and then with Monolith Studios, working on what was the name? Oh, Matrix Online. That's right. And so it was about 2013 that I left gaming altogether and just started working on personal projects, painting and digital painting, as well as traditional painting, mixed media, and consequently, or finally, these mixed media sculptures that I've been doing as of late. So basically, in a nutshell, that's my life.
That's a fantastic. I love it. So growing up, whereabouts in LA where did you guys live?
Well, let's see. The Wilshire district is where I grew up, did the biggest part of my growing up, I guess. So that's near, gosh, what part of, that's near the Strip on, oh my God, why can't I, on Wilshire Boulevard?
Yeah.
Where the museum, the LA County Museum was.
So you're downtown, yeah.
The tar pit, yeah. So I was, a bit, yes.
So did you have moments in your life where, since your dad and your mom were both in the business, were you ever on set at places, or did you ever like find yourself around certain Hollywood personalities that you grew up?
Well, yes. I mean, I got to spend some time on the set. I remember with my dad when he was playing a bad guy in Zorro, the old TV series from Zorro. I don't even remember what year that was. I think, was that the early 60s or late 50s, early 60s, something like that. And I got to go on the set. I still remember Zorro's name, the actor, Guy Williams. And I got to chat with him. And that was just so exciting.
How awesome.
I was pretty little, but it was still pretty exciting.
And your dad, what's your dad's name?
Rodolfo Hoyos.
Rodolfo Hoyos.
Actually, Rodolfo Hoyos Jr., and because my grandfather was Rodolfo Hoyos Sr.
And he had was that his career, did he just thrive and make a living at that for his whole career? Yeah. How fantastic. That's great. And then how did you get into art? I mean, what was the beginning of that journey?
Yeah, how did I get into art? It's just something I could do early on. I had a feeling for. I was excited by. I used to make little robots out of cardboard and so forth when I was really little, and just graduated into drawing and painting. It's hard to pinpoint because it just happened over the course of a couple of decades that I decided that this was my vocation. This is what I was going to do. And I didn't really have a feeling for it. I really wasn't a good academic student, and I fought it tooth and nail, to be honest. And the only thing I really liked was science and art. Those are the two things that drove me. But I ended up gearing myself towards art. I figured that would be something I could do. Actually, at one point, I did go to, see, how old was I? I was like around 12 or something. I went to the Griffith Park Observatory in LA, and I actually got an appointment to speak with an astronomer there. I can't believe, now that I think back on it, I don't know how I did it, or I can't believe that the astronomer agreed to meet with this child, but I had all these burning questions about the solar system and whatnot. And I actually went and spoke with him. He was really kind and stuff, and he showed me the observatory and how the telescope worked. We went back and chatted some more, trying to answer my questions. And I told him about how long would it, I asked him how long it might take to become an astronomer. And he just pulled out this book, and he opened this book, and he scrolled through some pages, and he said, when you can answer this, and it was an equation, a mathematical equation that went on for pages. And he says, when you can understand this, you can become an astronomer. It was at that moment I knew I had to become an artist. There's no way in hell I hated math.
That was probably that was somebody not inspiring somebody to, that was probably the wrong answer, but
well, I mean, but it's the truth. I mean,
it's the truth.
Yeah. So because I loved all the other stuff. I mean, all the, looking through telescopes and stuff. I mean, that was the best.
Hey, so one of our fans watching right now noticed, I'm sure everybody did, the painting behind you, and they would like to know if you painted that and what the story is behind that.
Yes, that's a full color illustration I did of the Hecatomb for Phantasm 2. Actually, I did it after the fact. That's kind of a digital painting I put together based on those initial concept sketches I did for the effects people in Phantasm, so they could create the Hecatomb. So, but yeah, that's a color version. I've always been very fond of that.
Yeah. Oh, I loved it. Yeah.
Anyway.
You sent me some of your initial drawings, which we'll look at in a minute. But boy, at some point, I'd love you to just take a picture. I'd love to see a picture of that. That looks beautiful. So you were.
You can see it clearly.
Yeah, we can see it okay.
Back there. Wow. I can barely type.
Well, we can't see it in detail, but I can tell it's the Hecatomb, and I can see the one in the middle, and anyways, we would love to see see it up close at some point if you can get a photo to me.
Sure,
and I'll post it. But that leads me to your work at Sierra Online. So you said you started with them in
so actually in 1989.
89.
First started, the late in 89.
And was I mean, with certainly with both the Phantasms, that you have what are your influences? That's a question that was asked a lot by people. Your influences, especially in terms of like the horror genre. What were the things that got you going?
Oh God, there's a number of things, but I guess. The likes of Alien was very influential, and the monstrous part of it, of course, was fantastic and all that. But I just really gravitated towards the direction, Ridley Scott's direction, and I've actually always been kind of a backseat director. I'm looking at, I watch film, I can't help but break down. I'll watch scenes multiple times over and over again without sound, and seeing the director's choice, just with myself, just discussing the director's choices. What were the good parts? I don't know. This is something even before I had thought about directing something like Phantasm 2, long before.
Yeah.
So But anyway, that
Cool. So I'm going to read some questions that popped in over both online and just pre questions. So Thanos RD asked, he said in the first Phantasmagoria game, you were credited alongside Roberta Williams in the story section.
Yes, that's right.
So can you explain a little bit how you got involved as as a storyteller as well?
Well, that was a strange thing here, is because it was I got a message one day working at Sierra from Roberta Williams, and she just wanted to discuss a new project she was thinking about, and she asked me to go to lunch, and she brought like a treatment of what she was thinking. And for some reason, I'm not, to be honest, it's been so long ago, I can't remember. I remember Roberta and I having conversations about movies, and but the specifics I don't remember. It was I wish I could remember the specifics of my conversation. Oh, there's the hackathon. Yeah, I wish I could remember the specifics. Why? I can't remember why she asked me now, but she asked me specifically to join her in the story writing. She felt, I think she felt, I don't know, I don't want to put words in her mouth or thoughts in her head, but maybe she was not completely comfortable with the idea of writing a horror story completely by herself,
right,
from the ground up. So she asked me to work with her on the story, not the game design, because she's the one that broke it down into the design of the game. Right. But the actual background story was something, a product of hers than mine.
And you were the art director on that as well, and then
yes,
yeah,
that was my primary function on that.
Right. And so what in the game do you remember that you're particularly proud of, or what have you, that you contributed to the story that made you that you think back fondly on?
Well, there were it's hard to say exactly. There were a lot of chunks of the game that we were not able to shoot as written, because it just would have cost way too much. There's one scene in particular that I was proud of the way it came out, was the scene where Craig goes back to the office when the murder has taken place in the office, and there's all the police around and stuff, and what I did is I used the flashes of the police photographers to blank the screen and then quickly get a glimpse of flashes of the murder. And what originally, my recollection is that Lorelei had written something that was fantastic, but it would have been impossible to film because it would have required a stuntman. It would have required resources we just didn't have. So I had to find a way visually of editing that way down, still having the proper impact, yeah. But there's just no way we could show everything that was written. So I
yeah, well, you jumped. Hold on a second. I want to stop you really quick because you jumped ahead into Phantasm 2. I was asking a little bit about Phantasm 1 because we're going to dive into that.
Sorry. Oh, yeah.
And the scene that you're talking about, I broke down with Wes last month, and you're right. That scene is, I think it's one of the best edited moments because it tells a story. You're watching Curtis walk through that hallway through the police scene, and then you're seeing these flashes of what happened to Bob.
You were in slow motion.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating is that as the person watching it, is Curtis is either remembering this or, because at this point we don't know if Curtis is one thing or another. So you're also just, it was really great in the way that you just gave little quick bits, and you told so much in that short 30-second video. I think that was a fascinating.
Yeah, I was kind of proud of the way they worked it, but so there's a number of things throughout the game that had to be. It's one thing to write it down, as you know, and it's another thing to get a camera to shoot it.
Yeah.
So and break it down, obviously, in editing. So it's my contribution was editing that design down into a manageable visual state.
Yeah. Well, let's talk real quick about, because I know people are interested in Phantasm 1 as well. We won't get too deep into that, but can you share with me some of the differences between working on, like, what is it? What was some of the highlights on Phantas 1? And then let's talk a little bit about how you ended up getting the directing gig for Phantas 2.
Well, okay, so with Phantas 1, I mean, see, one of my biggest memories is cringing off. I was on the set a number of times when they were shooting, and what Sierra had done is hired a action director from Hollywood. He did low budget action movies, and you know, a lot of violence, car stuff, and like that. Anyway, but they hired him, and I felt that he just did not have a feeling for what it was we were trying to do, and I was constantly listening to his direction and watching the performances of the actors, and I'm biting my lip. It was just killing me. To some of the stuff that it just bothered me so much. The acting was pretty poor. The direction, like I say, was missed the mark for me anyway. That's the way I felt. But Roberta, at one point, Roberta that was on the set with me, she saw that I was kind of like, you know, the rubbing your forehead, like, oh my God, what is he doing? And Roberta asked me, what's the problem? And she said, well, you know, I'm whispering. I'd say, because they're still shooting something that, you know, it's completely off what he's doing. And Roberta said, go and tell him. Go and tell him to stop shooting. And so there's no way I was about to do that. And of course, later I found out Roberta actually, sometime after that, did that exact thing when I was on set. And the director walked off and was gone the rest of the day. He could not stand being interrupted in the middle of a shot, which Roberta did. And he just quit for a day. And we lost that shooting for that day because
Wow,
it pissed him off so much. But anyway, I'm watching this stuff and it's just killing me. And like I said, I've been a backseat director all my life, and watching this stuff was making me crazy. I mean, Phantas 1 was remarkable in a lot of ways. Of the first game of its kind, and it was very clumsy for us to. There, we decided, or the decision was made that everything was going to be shot blue screen.
yeah.
So,
Where did you film? Where did you guys film that?
there was a soundstage near Sierra. There was a video company.
Okay.
Far from Sierra, so. But wait, what was I saying?
They're doing everything on blue screen.
Oh yeah, so the actors had to respond to things that in the room that were, you know, that weren't there, and it was clumsy, and it was our first attempt at that. So I think we, you know, the Sierra did a pretty good job overall with that, and that still was a popular game. I mean, it really did well. As
Oh boy, you guys, yeah, it was a big seller. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was the first of its kind, but you know, there's that little bit of perfectionist in me that just was making me crazy when I was on set watching the what was taking place. So I knew then if they were going to do a sequel, I told myself I just secretly wanted to direct it. And I thought, how the hell? I have no experience directing. I had directed animation, of course, but not live action.
Mm-hmm.
And so, long story short, is I lobbied hard and heavy to get that position, and I think Sierra was ultimately open to it because it was very costly bringing in that other director.
Yeah.
And here they were willing to. I guess my track record was sufficient enough to say, all right, we'll take a chance with you. You know, Sierra decided to take a chance.
Now, did you know, were you lobbying to be the director no matter what, or did you already know the story that Lorelei was writing and you were connecting to that material, or what was the?
Well, it was a little bit of both. Lorelei and I had met and decided that we could come up with something, the next step beyond Phantasm 1. And so we kind of planned together to not to write. She was going to do her writing, and I was going to do the direction and art related stuff. Although, by the way, in Phantasm 2, the actual I was not the primary art director. I did the design of the hecatomb and had aspects, you know, had a lot of say into the sets and etc. But Jeff Lane actually was the co-art director and did a lot of the art direction.
Okay. Okay.
I just want to make sure that's understood.
Well, that's good. Well, I think that's a perfect time. Let's I'd like to look at a couple pictures. that you sent me, and these are two preliminary drawings that you made of the hecatomb.
Yeah,
And,
these are actually more than preliminaries. This is the actual design. I know I went through a series of preliminaries first, trying to figure out, because Lorelei, it was very ambiguous exactly the specifics of what the hecatomb looked like. I decided I wanted something very alien, but still humanoid, still relatable, but something very strange and very alien. So,
yeah, let me go back to this. Sorry. I'm gonna see if I can zoom in a little bit here. Well, I think that's the best I can do. I don't have, but yeah, that's very, very close to what we ended up with, right? So this is,
yes, that was the design. Yeah.
Yeah, and then this is the
the special effect, that was the clay sculpture that Robert Stan Lee, I believe was his name, did.
That's right.
And based on the.
Well, he did a really amazing job of realizing your vision, didn't he? I thought he was pretty, for a time before CGI and all that. He really created some incredible things. So there's the face. That's the mask of the hecatomb.
Mm-hmm.
Again, thank you for sending these photos along. And then there's the actor. His name is Bert Bulos, right? And this is him in the makeup chair. They brought him up from LA. Really nice guy, I remember. And this was that's Robert setting him up right there, and the cables and everything. And then there he is in the background. So that poor guy never got to see what his real face looked like ever in the whole movie, in the whole game. I was called a movie. Yeah. There you and Bert are hanging out. Oh, I'm having trouble here. There we go.
Oh yeah.
Doing a little bit of.
Wow, that was a lot.
Yeah, and then this was the claw. Someone had asked about the designs like this. Was this also your design, the claw?
No, well, no, not really. I didn't do any design for this. Robert and I just spoke, and I just basically described kind of what was needed, and he just went for it. So this is his basic design.
Oh wow! And this is one of my favorite pictures of all of them. Let me see if I make sure I got it right. This is Robert on. This is Isn't that great? That's him. Having the thing come down. So with Detective Powell, that's coming right on this, and he's down there, and I love that. Just him leaning on a plank. So
that doesn't look safe. I'm sorry.
No, exactly. Well, good. This is great. Couple other questions that have come in, that were in before, and then I will make sure I'm keeping. A couple just Ross Scott, who is a YouTuber, and he did a live review on his YouTube channel of Phantasm a couple of years ago that got hundreds of thousands of views, and he's a great guy and has been very, very supportive of me trying to get this project off the ground. He wants to know what your favorite movie is.
Oh my God, my favorite movie.
Oh, do you have, or just, what are one of your favorite films that just always stuck with you?
Oh my God, I don't.
You can come back to that.
I don't have any one movie.
That's a tough one.
God, you say that now, I'm pulling up a blank.
No, that's okay. You think about that when you come back. So let's go back. The other question you had was, do you remember any particular funny moments during production that happened?
Not funny. Well, I had some fun with the cast and crew a little bit when I made a cameo. If you remember in Fantasy, where the lunatic or whatever from the asylum is brought out and going to be tossed into the threshold.
Yeah.
And I played that lunatic. And what I had them do, don't tell me you've got a picture of my.
I'm not going to. I'll show it to you later. Don't look. This is all. They can't see what I'm seeing. So you keep talking.
Well, anyway, I played the lunatic, and so basically the idea was that some handlers were going to bring me out, or bring the insane person out from behind, or whatever, and bring into the place where the threshold was on, and they were going to toss me, the lunatic, as a test into the threshold. And what I did is, so I'm just wearing those
straight jacket.
Things with a back open, and stuff. And I've got a straight jacket on. That's right, I had a straight jacket on, and they're dragging me out, and I'm whispering to myself as a Buffalo Girl, when she was singing Buffalo Girl, won't you come out tonight? But what I did is I had the special effects guys stain the back of something that was not going to be seen, on the camera, but I had them put stain all over my rear end, and just to have some fun with the crew. And then the cast was just having trouble keeping their laugh quiet.
That's great. Did now were the two guards? I recall that in the insane asylum, the patients and the guards, they were all pretty much Sierra employees, weren't they? The background folks.
Pretty sure, yes. I mean, we didn't have a big budget, so yeah. I'm pretty sure. To be honest, I can't remember that detail.
All right. Well, I'm going to show you this scene right now. I was going to show it later, but you brought it up, so let's watch Andy's big moment in Phantas 2. This is near the end, and we find out that Warner needs to throw a human body into the threshold to satisfy alien Curtis or real Curtis, and they're going to give him you, but something goes wrong. I think that's I'm probably not saying that right, but here we go.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I die of a heart attack.
Let's watch.
That's right.
But Curtis is having a flashback here. There you are.
Oh my God.
Okay, so now behind you, what only these guys can see, you have a huge brown stain on your butt. Is that right?
Yes.
I never knew that. That is so brilliant. That was great. So here you are. They're about
on this side, so
yeah, but they're about to throw you in, and then this is your big acting moment, Andy. Here we go. Let's watch you have a heart attack and die.
Damn it. We're running out of time. It's going close. Jonas.
You hear the sound effect of you falling on the ground there, the big plop.
Go get Merrick. Have him bring us another one. Quickly!
Well, this guy, I don't even remember him. He was definitely an actor.
Yeah, he was
here with the goggles on.
His name, gosh, I've known his name. He was from LA. Warren. His first name was Warren. I can't remember his last name off the top of my head, but yeah. Well, remember he came up for a week or so of filming, and was, he played the bad guy and the heavy, and did a great job with that. And I don't remember too much about him, but he got it. There's a real style as I watch these scenes now for the first time. I mean, I'm watching them a lot now, but I hadn't seen any of these for 25 years. And I'm just curious what you were thinking, and you and Lorelei were thinking, in terms of the style, because it's definitely heightened. It's kind of, it's kind of campy, but it's also, there's some very strong, real moments that, like in the therapist's office and stuff, that are very grounded and that people responded to. Were you aware of like the shifting dynamic of those styles while you were doing it, or what were you thinking in terms of all that?
Oh my God, that's a strain on my memory. That was so long ago.
Well, let me just go back. That's too much of that's too heady. What was it that connected you to the story? What did you like about this?
I loved Lorelei's take, her view of horror and storytelling. I mean, that her story drew me right in. So I would guess, I mean, it was basically Lorelei that attracted me the whole week, because in our discussions before the project, the ideas that started happening I found very stimulating, and I thought, oh, this is going to be something special. And immediately I started thinking of ways of breaking it down into visual language that we could all get behind. And so, I mean, it was the connection of the story. I'm not sure what it was. As a matter of fact, I was going to ask you. I'm surprised at, like, I've been asked over the years to do a number of interviews for these games, and to be honest, I had turned down so many because I just felt like I had said enough about those games, and I had moved on. I don't need to be rehashing that stuff. But there's something about you when you asked me that this seemed like a good opportunity to discuss what we're discussing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was basically it was Lorelei's on our partnership, that is to say, coming together with ideas that was the impetus for me to really want to get behind the project.
Well, I want to ask, there's one of the things that I think that one of the things that makes this game continue to be.
Okay, that's exactly what I was going to ask. One of the things I was going to ask you is, what is it about this game? To be honest, that's right. It's because of you're telling me about the interest still that is to this day in in Phantasm 2, and I mean, it's been so long. When was it released? 92 or when was it?
96. 96. This next month will be the 25th anniversary of its actual
that's right.
release.
I had moved here. That's right. 96. Yeah. So
well, yeah, let me tell you what I've gotten from this, because same thing with me. Like, I moved on because I wasn't a gamer, and so when the game didn't do well, it didn't nearly sell as much as the first one did, and it kind of and it didn't particularly help my acting career. So I just kind of moved on, and then I would start to get these people would reach out to me, and it had a lot to do with the internet, and people started to play it and be able to play it online and to play. And I think the thing that has made so much, the thing that surprised me and makes me feel very, and I want you to know about this too, is that there was a progressive nature to this game that just wasn't heard of, especially when it came to the sexuality of the characters. To have a character like Trevor, who was a openly proud gay man that nobody made fun of, that wasn't a stereotype, that was a funny, genuine, warm person, who was a good friend, who wasn't coming on to Curtis, that Curtis was the one who was actually not sure of his own sexuality. That was brand new. I mean, that may not have been brand new in the movies or in art, but in video games, nothing like that had ever happened before.
Right.
And so for you and Lorelei, and then also, sexuality in general, more, exploring BDSM culture and things like that in a way, and having these conversations with the therapist who's saying, this isn't wrong. That's not a bad thing. It's a way that you look at it. These were things that people had never heard. A lot of our viewers, believe it or not, I don't think we.
Do you think that gamers that expect that kind of heady subject matter to in a game? It seemed like it seems in a way too advanced, too adult, or something. It's not very game-like.
It wasn't very game-like, and I think that's what turned a lot of people off immediately, because it wasn't what they were used to. But then people went back to this game, and it had substance to it. And the thing is that many people that played this were teenagers. There was their way of, like, it was a moment like, oh, they could watch this horror movie that had sex, and it was a thing that they could, it was like their version of like a Playboy magazine under their bed. But what happened was that they were hearing things in a positive way that they never heard in their own world. People, I think that this game actually helped a lot of people come to terms with their own sexuality and their own choices. And this was something.
But I mean, even you talk, because the numbers for Phantasm 2 weren't particularly impressive. The sales numbers.
Right.
So how is it that a game that didn't do all that well in the marketplace has gained such a following after all these years?
Yeah, well, I mean, the following isn't I don't think I don't have much of a reach. I think that there are probably many, many more people that know this game that just haven't found this yet. But the people that have found it, they're everywhere. It's not just here in the US. There's tons of people. This game did go all over the world. As you know, we had dubs in Germany and France. And so it had a large reach. And I think it's just the power of the internet, power of YouTube and Twitch that people are coming back to it.
I mean, have you personally asked people that have played the game or gamers what it is about the game that they found that's worth enduring?
It's a lot of what I was just talking to you about, but I mean, feel free, guys, to some Derek Rucker just said it was ahead of its time, and mostly people. There were some YouTubers that had a lot of influence, like maybe 10 years ago, that played the game, and that game or that playthrough introduced a whole new group of people going, whoa, this game, I've never heard of this game before. And then so it's finding new audiences fairly regularly. And I think there is people are looking back at this very short period in the 90s when FMV games were maybe going to take off, and then it just stopped. And I've always joked around, Andy, I'm not sure if you believe this or not, but I always joke around that our game pretty much killed the FMV world because we went so over budget. There was no way, and we didn't make money, and that we were probably the highest budget game at that time. And then I don't think anything really big came on after that. So I think that went straight to, from our game on, it kind of went to, first person shooters, more animated and all that. I've got a couple things here. So Chad said I played Phantasm 1 many years ago, but didn't get around to playing Phantasm 2 until the past year. So some people are finding it even now. Someone from France, the game is just is a believable universe with convincing characters and a nice story with engaging gameplay, even in its time. So ahead of its time, beautiful cinematography. The cinematography, those Matt Jensen who did that, and the guy who came in to do the lighting. I mean, some of those scenes that you guys put together really felt like I was making a movie. I had never played a game before. Yeah. It was a weird movie because there were so many short little scenes. Yeah. But for me, we were on set. There was no green screen until the end, and it felt like we were making a real film. That's how it always felt to me,
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is great. Okay, so everybody who's ever played this game ever have the same question, and you're gonna have to own up to this, Andy. This is all on you. They want to know about the dancing boys. So I am going to show you. So outside of the borderline, when Curtis is going to first go meet Therese at the S&M club, he has to get past the bouncer. And I remember we filmed this at a place called the Weathered Wall. It was in downtown Seattle, like on 5th Street, kind of near it was right next to, you could see the monorail going by. And we filmed this scene in the alleyway in the back. And so let's watch this, and then you tell me what you remember of it. Here we go. All right.
Get out of here.
Come on, I just want to have a drink with my friend, just real quick.
I said get out of here.
Okay, so we have to break this down from the beginning here. So here we go. We have someone, and I'm pretty sure this woman who is arguing with the bouncer was one of your employees at Sierra. You may not remember who she was, but she's arguing. And then, and I don't know if you remember who that bouncer was. I think these were all part of your group. Did any of these people look familiar?
No, the bouncer, I don't think, I forget, because I remember we ended up, was it the bouncer? We ended up having to not use
his voice.
It was the voice. So because the plan was to shoot the bouncer from the front, he was so bad at reading the lines. He literally felt like he had a piece of paper and was saying them word by word. And so I just had the cinematographer reverse the angle. So we're shooting at the back of his head. He could say his lines and we dubbed in another actor's voice.
Well, you know who it was, and I found this out from someone. Contra just said this on the text. The voice that you dubbed was Gary Spinrad.
Oh yes, that's right. Our musician.
Yeah, your musician, your composer. He ended up doing the voice. So here they are. They're arguing, and then you have these three guys, these three tough hoodlums from and being a coordinated, somewhat uncoordinated dance across the screen.
I just want to have a drink with my friends.
But you shouldn't make too much fun. I spent quite a bit of time with the choreography on this one.
Oh, you did? Yeah, tell me.
Man, it was intense. It was intense.
I'll bet. I remember we had to stop.
Actually, in truth, we were just shooting there at the outside of this locale, and there were these guys that were like what do you call that kind of dancing? Like
break dancing kind of stuff. Yeah, but I don't know.
Not break dancing, but just a hip hop kind of dancing thing that they were doing out there, and I just thought it would be a goof. I just went and asked them, could you just walk, do your dance right in front of the camera as we're shooting? And they just loved the idea of doing it.
So this was not something they were just there.
No, this was just a spur of the moment thing that they were there, and I just said, it's just kind of a goof. It makes no sense, but I just said, let's do it anyway.
That's brilliant. That I never knew that, and I think you just solved a huge puzzle for a lot of people for many years. But also, look at this. Right as the guy goes by, look at the bouncer. He just totally face plants the young woman. Look at this. Boom! She goes down.
Hilarious.
So it shows you just how.
That wasn't Lorelei?
No, Lorelei is in the. Lorelei makes a couple of appearances. She wears, I don't think I have the scene to share with you today, but she is wearing that sort of oxygen mask when he first goes into the borderline. She walks by, but she's also a character in the insane asylum. She's kind of rolling the ball with, and we'll show that in a little bit. Hey, I've actually have a couple of video questions that came in. I asked some people to pose a question to you via video. So let's watch this first one here.
My name's Dan, big fan of Phantas 2. Paul, thanks for what you're doing. Love the project. I had a question for Andy. There are a couple scenes in the game that reminded me of the movie Tetsuo the Iron Man, with the use of quick cuts and the music and all that. I was just wondering what some of your influences were in terms of putting together the feel for some of those horror-themed scenes. Keep up the great work.
Yeah, well, yeah, I had actually seen Tetsuo the Iron Man. I don't know if you've seen that something.
I never have. No.
That is one of the strangest horror films you'll ever see. And it was, I mean, I had seen it, and I had seen it prior. I believe I had seen it prior to directing Phantas 2. So there isn't anything I can think of like that I pulled out, or a particular influence, other than I mean, I loved the mood, and say a film like Alien, of course, has no bearing on the kind of film we were doing, but the atmosphere and everything that really did influence me in films like Tetsuo too. Tetsuo is it's just unbelievable, and that's a obscure kind of project. I'm surprised that people even know about that. That was
man. People are so dialed into all these. It's really, really great. I love, by the way, thank you, Dan, for that video. I love your Bob Ross cutout in the background. That was pretty.
I'm sorry, I don't know if I've answered this question, but it's just I don't have any. I can't point to specifics of like influences. It's just an amalgam of all these films. I mean, Tetsuo had an impact on me.
Yeah, the fact that you knew that movie that he's talking about means that that's the kind of film. I mean, you did answer it because you have enough of a breadth of knowledge of watching these movies that you've broken down over the years. That of course that's gonna feed into how you tell the story as well. Let me do another one here.
Hey, Andy, this is Rocco. I was just wondering, what was it like filming the scenes in the psychiatrist's office with Paul? Back in the 90s, that kind of spotlight on mental health and male bisexuality was pretty much unheard of in the video game industry. And I was wondering, how did it feel to break that ground, so to speak?
How did it feel to break that ground? It felt great. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I mean, it felt like we were doing something nobody else had done in gaming. And Laura and I were very excited about reaching these borders, so to speak. But I'm not sure, how does it, I guess I just was excited about the fact that we were breaking boundaries.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know, I've said numerous times, and I don't know if I've ever told you this, but my favorite moments as an actor doing that game were those scenes in the psychiatrist's office. I thought the woman that Cynthia Steele, the woman that you hired to be the psychiatrist, was wonderful, and the writing was, I thought, the most in depth of the whole script. And in fact, for years I used some of those scenes as like on my reel to try to get other work, because they were just, it was so intimate. It was so it was
I remember Lorelai doing a great job with the script there.
right. And it was, and she really, and the themes that they were talking about and what the therapist was saying to Curtis was in line with was, I don't know, it just had a really profound, I think that's part of what had a profound effect on me, that there was no judgment. She was super helpful. He was diving into this history of his mom hanging himself and dressing him as a girl and and his dad's murder. And there was some real heavy stuff there.
Right.
And I thought, and then again, if you watch those scenes again, even though they're in an office, they're just beautifully filmed. There's one shot of Curtis like laying on the couch, and the shot is from the ceiling looking down. And there's just some beautiful movement, the lighting streaming in from the window. There's some great stuff in that. So I was really that stuff was really great. Yeah, I remember, Andy, just my own memories of this, having never, I don't know if you remember this, but I know that I got cast late in the game. I think I know that you guys had a different actor in place that dropped out. And I think that, so when I got cast, it happened very, very quickly. I didn't, all of a sudden I got an audition, and then less than a week later, I was offered the part. I went like so quickly. And I think that, for me, that was great. For you, I think you guys were, oh no, we lost someone. We need to get someone in place.
Yeah, to be honest, the details of that escape me now. I don't really remember too much of that.
I'd love to know who that person was that you cast, because at some point somebody did show me a headshot of him. I don't remember his name. But it would be fun to track that guy down and find out what.
Well, our first choice was De Niro, but
yeah, he couldn't have handled it. He didn't have the range.
No, right. So.
But
he was the next logical choice.
Yeah, me and Bobby. But so yeah, you were an amazing presence on that set. You had to deal with I remember, we had a producer that was I think that the money was flowing pretty quickly, fast, early on. We spent a lot of time perfecting everything. And then next thing we knew, the money was starting to go away and we were going over budget. And so you were dealing with budgetary issues. You were dealing with a very, very young crew that you got from LA right out of school. So these young, smart, intelligent kids who got their first job, you were trying to work with them. You had to deal with the actors. You were the person that, you just had this presence that allowed us to all feel like we were part of a family. And everybody I've talked to has sung your praises in that way. And I know that it was your first time directing, and there were times that you had no idea what you were doing, and you were comfortable enough to say, I don't know, let's figure it out together, and that was always such a great way to work. So I've always valued that time that we had on set together. That was 6 months, man. We spent 6 months,
6 months.
almost every day doing that thing. All right, one more question, and then I will show a little bit of. I want to see some of the more of the photos that you shared with me, because
Yeah.
I didn't tell
Absolutely.
everybody. Andy shared over 24 behind the scenes photos that I had never seen before, and so I have those to share with you. And if we need to take a break at all, let me know. We can take a couple minutes. And we'll come on back. But let me share this last question from.
My name is Heather, and I just wanted to know if you or Paul or perhaps anybody who's worked on Phantasmagoria2, have any of y'all had any other game ideas which you'd like to see, get the light of day at some point?
Yeah, thank you, Heather, for that. Did you and Lorelei ever talk about Phantas 3 or any other things that you were, back in the day?
No, no. I can honestly say no, we didn't. I wasn't long after. See, I forget how long after that I left gaming altogether. But that was Phantas 2 was my last big project. I mean, there were other projects that were big, like the Matrix Online and stuff, but that died a quick death. No, so wait.
Sounds like at that point you were actually, for however various reasons, you were working your way out the door. So you weren't thinking about what to do next. You were thinking about what you wanted to do outside of gaming.
Yeah, I guess so. I wanted to move on after Phantas 2, and I don't know, it was another couple of years. Actually, I left it altogether. I was freelancing for a while. I left it altogether in 2013. But I was still freelancing at that point, freelancing art direction and conceptual design.
Gotcha.
For a number of years, but yeah, no, I didn't have any. I mean, all the game ideas we had are that I wanted to do were much earlier on, and I did approach the company with an idea I had, and they liked the idea. I approached Roberta, and she liked the idea, but it just in subsequent talks, I don't know, it just sort of quietly died. That is to say, management didn't show much interest, and it seemed like it was taking forever, and I just kind of gave up on that.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. I want to dive into some of these pictures. How are you feeling? You ready? Can you keep going?
Sure,
or you want to take a couple?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this was some of these I've shared a bunch of times, but I know you haven't seen them, but then most of these are yours. So let me just kind of zip through these, and anything that comes to mind, let's just talk about it. So
sure.
Let's see. Let me make sure I got it here. Oh, so there you and me and Rachna are.
This was one of the funniest concepts to me in the whole game. I've forgotten about this debate. The idea that Rachna or the Therese would have these chains and all this get up, and the stuff that would go up on his ceiling to support him in her bag. She just walked in with this stuff. I thought that was hilarious. I was hoping people would not think it stupid and think it more funny, hopefully, the idea, but I don't know, because it was played straight though. I don't know if people got the idea, the humor behind this.
I hope so too. Well, listen, I think let's do this. I'm going to back up. Let's watch this scene because Wes Plate was kind enough to provide some the first part that I'm going to show you is the compressed stuff, but then very quickly we're going to see he shared some uncompressed, uncropped video. So we get to see some really nice detail, but I didn't have that. So I want to show you this scene because I have a whole bunch of pictures of all of us in this room. And so let's watch the scene first, and then we can get into the room.
You know, you really startled me when I first came in.
That was the idea, Curtis.
You break into people's apartments often?
No. Only when I really like them.
Patrice, I don't want to be rude, but what are you doing here?
Well, I didn't come here to talk.
Well, what did you come here to do?
Not a dummy.
He's not too bright.
I'm not so sure about this.
To me, that change was hilarious.
Good.
I love that sound effect too of the Yeah, so now we're going to get into real quick you'll see the rest of this is now uncompressed, really nice, clear footage. And there's a couple moments, I'll stop, where we can see sort of the top. We can see some lighting and we can see some stuff. So right here,
yeah.
You can see that clearly there's no roof to Curtis's bedroom. You can see the lighting right there. And what I read an interview with Lorelei from years back, and I had completely forgotten about this, but she said that they had like a forklift in the back, way back here behind the wall, that they had to like power up so that they could lift me, right? And so, I mean, the joke being that Therese can do this, that we actually needed a crew and a forklift to get me off the ground.
I don't know. I find that hilarious.
It's so funny. And so
it looks so comfortable.
Oh, I remember. We had to keep bringing me. I could only be up there for a little bit.
You're having to hold your head up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I think you're a good boy, Curtis. A very good boy indeed.
Okay, so let's look at the pictures of it. So what I remember, hey, what's something that's always, it's only recently come to me as I've been watching this, is that I think I personally, as an actor, I never knew that you had this kind of voiceover of the hecatomb. And I always thought, in retrospect, I'm curious why you didn't choose to use my voice and to alter my voice as opposed to whoever it was that did it, because ultimately it was Curtis that was in that world and not,
right. Right.
So it would have.
Yeah, that's a very good question. And for the life of me, I can't remember.
Yeah.
That's just pressing my, I just don't know. I don't know why that choice was made. What you're saying makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you guys should have talked to me. I could have been a story editor too.
Yeah.
All right, so here's a couple more. So there you go. There's a shot from the top.
God.
So look at this thing they had to actually bring in to attach it to that. And then for whatever, I don't know why, but there was like a wood board back here behind my.
I think it was probably just for you to put your head on.
Yeah, but why wouldn't they give me a pillow? I don't get the board part.
Well, yeah, good question. I just really wanted you to be as uncomfortable as possible.
Well, you did a great job. And there's you and Todd, and kind of hanging out.
God, you remember all the names of the?
Well, Todd was an actor in Seattle, so I've known him for a long time. In fact, Todd was married to Rachna at the time. They have a child who's now she's a reporter for.
About that.
Yeah, their one-time 5-year-old daughter is now a reporter for the Business Insider in New York City. So
my God.
And Todd came on and did a little bit on the very first conversation with Curtis. He came and talked, and he read. There's a letter, that Jonas leaves behind to Curtis, saying, "Curtis, if you're reading this, I am dead." And it's kind of like a warning, you better get out. And I had Todd read the letter out loud. It was pretty fun. And I love that you guys had these great Seattle references, Tower Records in the background. You guys, whoever your set director was, did an amazing job. Boy, those sets were great.
Yeah.
So then you can see the camera on the bed here. And so this is Todd going in for the daddy kiss.
Right.
Some great stuff there. There's the boys.
The crew, yeah.
Yeah, and look how young these guys are. Probably 22, 23 years old. These were our
in their 20s, early 20s. Yeah.
And this is Matt Jensen. Matt is now a big time cinematographer on all the big. He does a lot of Marvel movies and such. And there you are, clearly enjoying me being in pain right there. And there you go again. Some just hilarious. Just Matt on the bed there. And then that's Monique, and that was Robert's wife.
Right. Yes, I forgot her name. Robert's wife.
Too.
Yeah.
She was so delightful. And
yeah, she was great on the set.
Yeah. Did you play the pinball? How often did you play? You played pinball, didn't you?
No.
You never did?
Well, I mean, I have in the past, not that one.
You never played this? We played this. You don't remember how much we played this game?
I don't even remember that. See,
man.
Did you forget how old I am? I'm over 115. So.
All right, this is stuff I've shown people before, but here's some more of your stuff. So here's what you said. This is Robert working on Tom's bloody head from the by the way, I think this is a good one to let's watch. Yeah, well, we can get back to that. And then this is the crew. There you are. I don't recognize really any.
The woman next to me that's the assistant director, and I forgot her name.
Okay, yeah, but that's you guys, and that's when they distressed the scene where I'm being chased by the zombies. That's a really cool scene too, by the way.
And actually above her is Jeff Lane. That was the other art director.
Oh, great. Okay, awesome. Yeah, there you are. Little do those boys know what's behind you right there. It's a great shot of you and little Curtis, and that was Robert and our other makeup and his wife's son, which we didn't know. He's got to be in this.
That was one part we just couldn't. We just didn't have the budget to hire a child actor, so we asked Robert's little son to play the part, and he was willing, but he wasn't an actor, and it was tough. It was tough getting to what I needed out of him.
Yeah. This is Matt at the house and there he is. There's the
dressed it up.
There's the little girl, not happy. There's Paul.
Oh yeah.
I love you. This is a great scene this is me and
there's something about that shot that they got of me. It was my eyes squinting that I couldn't help but write in that.
Really, this time act better, damn it. It's great. Some good stuff behind the scenes when we got into the ending of the game, and then great shot of you. There's you and Lorelei.
There we are.
There's the two masterminds. You and the Hecatomb. I've been using that shot for our promos. Many people want to know about this guy. What do you remember about this gentleman?
He was on the film crew, and I'm trying to remember his role. I can't really
remember. Well, he played. He has a moment as one. In fact, I'll show you. He has a moment in the insane asylum, and he really goes for it. He goes hard with. I don't know. I can't remember all the things he says, but he is. I remember him being very committed when we did that scene.
It was also hilarious, and because what we did is we let him. We kept the camera going, and I just told him to just keep coming up with these blurted out these crazy things, and they were hilarious. We were having a hell of a time keeping our laughter down when we were shooting him, because we just, like I said, it just went on for minutes, because what we figured we could have special portions in the game where a person could click and get multiple responses from that character.
Oh, we got to talk a little bit about these. I'm playing the game for the very first time in my life, Andy, and I'm doing it with the help of some of these people, and we're streaming it. At some point, if you ever want to join me, I'm doing it on Fridays, and we can play the game together for like an hour or so. So if you're up for it. But they're showing me all the Easter eggs, which I knew nothing about. So you guys must have had a lot of time on your hands, because there are some crazy Easter eggs. There's one where if I click on Curtis's belly button like 15 times, your head pops up and then bounces around the whole room. Do you remember all the reasons?
I remember some of those, but I mean, I was not really, that just kind of went on behind my back, sort of.
Oh, okay. That was not you. That was not you.
No.
Now, I don't have the scene where the guy does all the crazy things, but this is the moment in the insane asylum. So let's watch this, and we'll see if we can identify a few of your that voice, that screaming voice. That's the guy.
That's. I've forgotten it. What was the deal here?
So right here is Lorelei. Oh, I guess I need to.
Yeah, but what I mean is, right. But I can't remember was this something you were imagining, or I've forgotten now? Is this?
No, this was a flashback. And I'm not sure if it's an imagination or it's a flashback when what happens is that just prior to this, he's listening to Paul Warner scream at Tom saying, "You're a dead man." And he remembers Warner saying that to his dad. And then it flips back to when because he just spent a whole year in a institution. And so these are some flashbacks to when he was institutionalized.
Yeah.
And so let's see. So there's your guy right there. He's picking some lice off of someone's head right there. That's V-Joy Lee. I'm going to go back. V-Joy was an actor in Seattle. She is the only actor who had bit parts in both games. So she's the only one who has any connection to both. And she is just a delightful person. I haven't seen her in many, many years, but I remember, we ran into each other quite a bit. And this was filmed in the hospital, wasn't it? Or was this the set, or was this part of
this? I believe was a set.
Oh, okay. And we
this wasn't in the hospital.
Okay.
No, sick and wrong.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So this is pretty much. I think this is populated with your crazy Sierra Online employees.
Yeah.
So there we go.
He was hilarious. Oh my God, he was hilarious.
Yeah. So
too bad you don't have that footage. Yeah, but
I should. I do have it somewhere, but I don't have it with us today.
Yeah.
And here's some makeup stuff with the zombie boys.
Oh my God. Oh, by the way, I still have that sledgehammer, the prop sledgehammer.
You do?
I still have that.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I did have for a while the ceiling claw, but that disintegrated.
Okay, so this is fascinating to me, Andy. I remember when we talked on the phone, you said something like, "Oh, I remember when you had to wear that makeup and what a pain that was." And I remember saying to you, "No, I don't think so. I think that you must have just had to, maybe you just photoshopped it or something." And then here's this photo, 3 photos of me wearing this makeup. And honestly, talk about blocking something out. I have zero memory of, this must have been hours and hours of makeup. And I don't remember a minute of this.
That's amazing. You don't remember.
I don't know why. Look at us.
Oh my God. I think it took a chunk out of your head there.
Yeah, you must have. But this was all near the end of the shoot. In the end, I'm sure you remember this, but it was mayhem, right? We were told we have a week to do. We still had weeks of filming to do, and we couldn't because we ran out of money. And so I just remember we went in and we did a very chopped down version of the end, and we did it all on green screen. And I don't remember really what the hell was going on anymore, in terms of what the story was at the end there. Oh, and there's some of your art we'll get into. And I know that it's hard to remember, but what do you remember about how things kind of wrapped up in terms of us not being able to fully finish in the way that we wanted to?
Yeah, I just remember early on that, or earlier on than certainly this part of the project, where Lorelei and I, but particularly Lorelei, was very frustrated with management.
Sorry, my bad.
Right, management who kept cutting things. They requested edits. And it was infuriating for Lorelei, because it was making the storytelling that much more difficult, because they didn't want after they okayed the script, they saw what was in it, they saw the treatment and everything, and yet during the course of production they kept, "Oh, well, we can't do this, or can you shorten this part of the game?" And stuff, and it was problematic and troubling. And I remember getting called into the project manager, not the project, whatever I was trying to say, the head of Sierra at that time that was overseeing our project, and had the producer, myself, and Lorelei, and say, "Hey, we're running out of money. What's the deal here?" And of course, for me, that's not my issue. I was using the resources given to me, so it's the producer's job to make sure that those resources will, cover the project. And so I just remember it was a kind of a testy meeting and so forth, but we knew we just had we had to do the best we could with what was left.
Yeah.
basically.
I vaguely remember like we did, we kind of finished the main section, and then we had this big, the ending where Curtis goes into the threshold, and that was the next big chunk. And then I remember I might be wrong, but I remember we like shut down for a little while, like maybe a week or two. And then we came in and everything was gutted out of the studio, and all they had were just like these green screen things. And then I remember the script that we were going to do got slashed to like, we got to do this, 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 and this, and we got to get done quickly. We had to do those fidgeters scenes. Remember all those fidgeters we had to do? Geez. And then, which ultimately that was a really smart idea on your part, because now that I'm playing it, it makes so much sense to have them when they're just sitting there.
Or just standing, yeah.
Or standing. It's really cool because it does look like they're kind of just waiting around for something to happen. So that was really good forward thinking.
Yeah, you had the in games, you had to keep even though a player is not moving the character around, you had to have him seem like he's alive.
Yeah.
So that's what the fidgeting, the animations were for.
Good. Well, listen, I want to show some of your artwork that you're doing now. I do have a couple more scenes. Are you interested in watching a scene or two? Or
Sure.
Okay, a lot of people are curious about when we filmed in the. I'll show the opening scene. People have seen this opening scene a million times, but that was the one. We were in Harborview, right? We went to Harborview Hospital.
I think that's right, Harborview.
And I remember we were given, a lower chamber so this first section is all in this old kind of Gothic hospital. It's a beautiful building.
Yeah,
when you're driving on I-5.
It's somewhat forbidding.
Yeah, it really is. And so so we got some time in there, and I remember we were going to do some kind of a chase in all the corridors. There was going to be a big chase and a run and a fight. And then we ended up, the hospital said, nope, you only get 2 days and you're out. And so we never were able to do that.
Right.
But let's go ahead and watch this little opening scene. If you remember, I have some memories from it, and let's see. What a great opening. Really just something's going on. I love that swinging strap, and then the ticking getting bigger, and something's going down. And then this,
he's having a severe psychotic.
I remember that actor was from LA, and he had a recurring role on the X-Files. He came up for a day or two.
That's
nice guy. Do you remember who the two orderlies were? No.
So keep your hands away from his mouth. Real potential for violence. Watch him.
But, really good filmmaking here. All these great angles, and then there she is again. So yeah, really. I mean, look at that. That clearly is not a set. It's a really neat.
Yeah.
Great sound. Now I remember that when we got into this room, none of us. Oh, where am I here? None of us realized that this chair. I was not going to fit in this chair. It's this dinky. Like when you see me go in there, look how I don't.
It does look small there. Yeah.
I don't know what it was made for, but it wasn't for. Look out! They have my knees up, right?
Yeah, but you don't notice it, so that it work, but it does look small.
Yeah. So the scene that I remember, let me see. I'm just going to turn this down for a second. So when he gets this thing right here, so I remember they gave me they're supposed to have a mouthpiece, so I wouldn't bite my tongue or something when I get the thing. Well, whatever, the prop department gave me this kids football mouthpiece, and they actually made me put it upside down. So hold my teeth, and then they cut it. So they wanted to have this moment of when I got shocked, I bit through it, but watch how quickly it just falls apart. Boom, there it goes.
That still ended up effective. I was always, I just remember now seeing that, I just remember that I really wanted a sound effect of like, where you crunched through it and before spitting it out. We never did get to that, but it still seemed like it was effective.
Yeah, I think that's a great opening scene, and that you create a real mood, especially with that. To have had access to that place was great.
Oh yeah, no question.
So yeah, I think that's kind of all I got here. So anybody who's still with us, if you have some questions from Andy, please go ahead and throw them in the chat right now. And then in the meantime, I will. So one people wanted to know, I'm sure this again, money was not your thing, so you don't know what the budget for that game in particular was, right?
No, I had some guesses, but I don't really know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I want to hear what you're working on now. So I was able to, I know that your website is not updated, but you are quite the artist, Andy, and I want to show some of the work that you've done in the past and then share it with everyone what you're doing right now. Can you tell us a little bit about your work here?
Oh gosh, that piece. Let's see, what was the name of this thing? It's actually tattooed on the character's shoulder there. This I did. I was going through a particularly funky period, bad period, just relationships. Just seemed like I was just isolated and just feeling just awful, basically. And I don't know why I did this. This is basically was a self-portrait.
Oh, wow.
This is the way I was feeling at the time. I just felt like a freak. I don't know. I wasn't sure if I was, there's something about me that people just didn't like. I just went through a really isolated period. Wow. Like I say, even with family and friends. So, but this piece was actually painted digitally. But what I did is I took I had it printed to watercolor paper, and then I scarred the actual print. I can't remember. I think I used a roto tool to scar it, and then I stitched it up. So don't ask me why, but I actually used a needle and thread and stitched up those scars around the edges to create a border.
That is really cool. It's really neat. I love that.
It seemed like it worked, even though it isn't like suture-like. Somehow it was reminiscent of sutures. So
yeah, no, it's neat. That's really, I love the idea that it's just you bottled up. You're not able to get out of whatever it is that you're stuck in right now.
You notice at the top of the jar, it's barely hard to make out, but even I had a radioactive symbol on the top. You can barely tell.
That's great. Hey, a question did come in. Were you at all involved in the dubbed releases? Did you go to Europe and be a part of that at all? Or
no, I never, nothing. No, I had no involvement with that.
Gotcha. Tell me about this one. Into Each Day.
Oh my God, this one. Well, I came across a panel, a wood panel that had these words printed on it. And Into Each Day put equal parts of you. Anyway, I had seen a number of these popping up in garden stores and even in art, framing art stores and stuff. And it was just something I was mocking. And so I just decided to paint right on top of the sign and paint these faces. And I was basically mocking the words is what I was doing. I found that people put such things up. It just silly to me. Something about it just was silly, but I just took it upon myself to mock it.
That makes sense, because it's all these words are just used as they don't have meaning.
Into Each Day put equal parts of faith, love,
courage.
Hope. Yeah, it goes on, and it just really, I thought people put this stuff up, and so then I just defaced it.
I love it. You're a rebel. Oh, I love this one. The Nature of Things.
The Nature of Things. Yeah. Well, what is it you want to know about this one?
Oh, I just curious. And just tell us what you got.
Yeah, I just don't. I can't remember like initially what was the inspiration. This is where I started though, drifting towards natural environments and nature, and letting in nature inhabit my work more. And so I just saw this as a depiction of the female face as representative of human nature, or not human. What am I trying to say here? Just nature, Mother Nature. Oh, that's it, Mother Nature. Just a representative of Mother Nature, and then the blue side. It's just the mysterious. There's the mysterious, uncomprehensible part of nature. And, the shape. I don't know. It's just a surreal. I just like the surreal shape. And then what I did is on the outer edges. Oh, by the way, so that was painted digitally, and then I had it printed to aluminum. And mounted that on another panel that had been gold leafed.
Wow.
And then the whole thing was resin.
It was this, when you do those things, do you plan that in advance, or as you're moving along, you're finding new ways to add layers to it, or what is it that?
Yes, I mean, I like say particularly the gold leaf, how it was going to be mounted and all that. I hadn't decided that till after the piece was done. It was when the piece was completed, I thought, oh, what would set this off? And I thought, and then the gold leaf frame, basically, it's what it turns out to be. It's like it's not an actual frame, but it's a resin panel that has gold leaf on it.
Gotcha. Hey, Rachna is on. She's on watching this right now. Yeah, she just said how much she loves your artwork, and I know she's an artist as well. And we got a chance to see some of her work, so that was very kind of her to join us. She says hello, and that's so cool.
Oh my God, Rachna.
Yeah. Maybe I'll have you both join me. We can all play the game together at some point.
There you go.
All right. Oh, I love this one. This is great. Oh, by the way, before we leave this one, I think this is kind of neat because it does foreshadow a little bit of what you're doing right now.
Yes, that's what I say. Like I say, it's that now is this time where I'm allowing nature and so forth to kind of permeate the work.
Yeah. So tell us about this.
Yeah, this isn't an actual person. This is just somebody I just concocted. But there was something about, I had seen some photography of tattooed women that had mohawk. They were kind of punky, and so forth. And there's something attractive to me about this one female that I saw that had this craziest mohawk of actually like what do you call Rasta hair? You know what I'm trying to say? It's been matted and curled, and I just decided to use that as an inspiration, and I just basically created her just from my head. And I just been looking at a lot of research with piercings and so forth, and then I just love the idea of the lizard. I had seen, that's right, I had seen a high fashion model with a lizard on her head, like a haute couture model, and the photographer had just put a lizard on her head in much the similar way. And so I just said, oh, I love the idea of like a spirit animal. Right on top of her. She doesn't even know. She isn't even, it's like almost like she's unaware, or she's so comfortable with it. It's just become part of her look.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, wait a minute. Oh, do you remember, you were talking about the piercings. Do you remember the scene in the Borderline where Curtis gets his navel pierced?
Oh God, yeah, that's right.
And I have a vague memory, and I think this is not me making this up, but I think at one point it was so late, we had been doing stuff, and the guy he was a tattoo piercer. You guys found him somewhere, and he looked at me and he said, dude, I'm happy to, I'll do this. I'll do this for free for you if you want me to. And I'm like, oh, and then I remember going up to you going, do you want me to get my navel pierced? I mean, if that's going to help the film, and maybe for my art, I should do this thing. And I remember you looking at me, because you could have said, oh, dude, that would be so great. And And you looked at me and go, are you crazy? No, no, we'll do it in post. It'll be fine. So you saved me from getting a
And I couldn't help but want to make it just a little bit gross. I don't know if you remember, I had to do a close up where you pulling on the ring and then it just tears your skin and it comes out.
It comes out this goopy sort of thing. Oh, it's so gross. Yeah.
And then you passed out, and I just found that kind of funny.
Yeah, no, there's some great stuff there. So here's your newest stuff, and I'm going to see if I can. I hope I can kind of zero in a little bit. But tell us what you're working with here.
Okay, so I've just gotten off into these mixed media sculptures, and again, just fascinated with. Well, actually, what got me started was here at the house. I wanted to have an ornate kind of planter. There's a certain spot in my entry. I just wanted something there, and I thought bonsai. And I started looking into bonsai, and then realized there's no way I'm going to be able to care for a bonsai tree or something like that in the spot that I had. There just wasn't the light to support that. So I thought, why not sculpt something? Well, so I just made myself a piece to put, and this is Nip, by the one that you had. One of my first pieces I did, and then I liked what I did so much that I thought, well, I gotta try this again. Maybe I can do better. And I just been doing more and more of these mixed media sculptures. I've just been having a great time. Basically, I will search the woods for rocks and lichen, snail shells, and all kinds of just odds and bits and ends that I could possibly use in my sculptures. And then also I would frequent aquarium stores. And in the aquarium stores, they had, some great rocks and tree roots and stuff like that. So I found them inspirational. I would take them home and wasn't sure what to do with them. I brought elements together and then, oh yeah. So yeah, like this one here, From Fire, I called it. I found this piece of driftwood that was, it just was burnt. And there's something about that shape. It just spoke to me. I just wanted to see like a little valley in between. All the life had taken hold where the fire had once passed before and destroyed the tree. And this is all that was left of the tree, but now it has sprung new life. And so the driftwood is actually, well, it's a piece of driftwood, a burnt driftwood. And then I sculpted the mushrooms, and that's a polymer clay I used. And then I had collected lichen and branches and so forth. And I found this little container and set it in there. And then that's resin, what appears to be water and rocks down there. It's basically clay rocks that I made, and it's resin, so it looks like water. So it's like sitting in mossy water.
It's stunning, Andy. It's just absolutely beautiful, this work. I'm sorry I didn't I have this, I'm not in a position without just taking up too much time to zero in on these. I'd like to zoom in, but I can't do it. But
okay.
But these are just absolutely gorgeous, and I can just see how painstaking every moment of this is, and there's just it evokes so much. And I love that it is. It didn't dawn on me that you were taking like the bonsai theme, but using found objects to include it with. That's so cool. Someone wrote, it has Elsbeth wrote, it has a Max Ernst feel to it, like the fantastic landscapes that he did. I'm not sure if you know who Max Ernst is or not.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with Max Ernst.
Well,
yeah.
You need to update your website. My
yes,
friend.
I haven't. I've got to put all the.
This is great stuff, and people need to see it, and people need to buy it, and we need to get it. We need to get it displayed so we can. I would love to see I'd love to see an Andy Hoyos art show in the near future.
Me too.
Okay, so I think we're coming near the end here. This has been a joy having you. One of the questions was if Phantasmagoria 3 were ever to come about, would you be interested in taking that one on?
I think I'm sort of so involved in what I'm doing, my personal thing. I doubt whether I would be intrigued. Although the Phantasmagoria series, that would be, I'd have to think about it, because that actually, it does have a draw to me. And I particularly, if I could directed. I mean, Phantas 2 nearly killed me as far as being the director on it,
Yeah.
but it was so satisfying. I just really enjoyed working with the actors, the effects team. It was a great experience.
Yeah, I have one other question that's come in a couple of times, and I'm curious about this too, because I remember this happened. The cover art of is really kind of stunning. Were you at all? Let me see if I can share.
No, that was just the art department. That's the one with your hands, it's the picture of Curtis Craig with yeah, right.
That's really something else. So whoever came up with that, that's a great.
Yeah, no, that wasn't me. The only part about this that I just didn't quite jive with me is that he's, Curtis is doing this thing, and I understand this is just it's not literal, but the face expression seemed to me to be not right with what's happening. That's the only part about that. He seems to be a little too placid in the face.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to be bothering him at all, right? And he was so conflicted in so many ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's something.
But it's a great cover, though, nonetheless.
It sure is. It really is. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, like I said, Andy, I through this whole project. Oh no, I stopped sharing, and I hope that didn't screw up the. Let me go back to sharing. Sorry about that, Jason. There's a certain way in which I need to. Let me go back to it, and then I'll get to here. Oh, you guys are seeing behind the scenes here. All right. I hope. But I just want to thank you for your time again, Andy. It's so nice to talk to you and to revisit this. If you are interested, I started, like I said, playing the game, and people are watching me play, and it's actually really fun. And I have a new appreciation for this game that I just never thought of it as a game before. I only thought of it as these movie scenes that I did. And I'm taking my time and just kind of exploring. And so if you'd ever want to join me like on Zoom like this, and we could just play the game a little bit, talk about what we remember, we could have a beer while we're doing it. I'm doing it right now every Friday, but I'll give you a heads up on when that'll happen. And I'd love to have you join me a little bit more, and we can keep talking.
Sounds like fun.
All right. Well, in the meanwhile, thank you for everything, Andy. Appreciate it. You're a delight to talk to, and a very, very talented man. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Good seeing you, Paul.
All right, you take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. I guess that is it. What a great time. Thank you all for joining on a Saturday. And we will be back next Friday with part 3 of me playing Phantas 2. And then next in November 26th, my guest will be none other than Lorelei Shannon to culminate this 25th anniversary celebration. As we get into 2022, we'll continue to reach out to, there's so many people that we haven't reached out to yet that were a part of the game, but we'll be moving on to other games and other fun projects that we're excited about. Please consider joining us on Patreon. For the folks who are on Patreon, I can't thank you enough. You guys are the greatest. Thank you so much for your support, and have a great rest of your weekend, everyone. And we'll see you next time.